everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Spark with me, your host, C2. On the Trident Network, the digital three-pronged entertainment network, we have live shows. We have YouTube shows. This one shows up on YouTube. We have podcasts. Our podcast network is banging. Definitely go follow, check out the YouTube, because that's where these all get posted. Oh, it's not here. Wait, let me link it. All of these shows get posted on there. So definitely go follow them, us. Here we go. The Trident Network, YouTube. Here we go. Hee. But follow us wherever we are, because we need that. Today, I am with my good friend, Hey Medley. And we're going to talk about, we were talking a lot before we even started. We're talking about making art, which is the reason that we became friends when we were 18.
Oh, yeah.
And is the reason we're still friends today. Yeah, you're on right now.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on.
I see Smokey in chat. What's up, Smokey?
Yeah, Smokey's in chat. Oh, it's Dr. Yesterday's in chat,
Dr. Yesterday's in chat. What's up?
Yay!
Yeah, we've known each other for an extremely long time.
Isn't that fucked up?
Many eras. Taylor Swift's eras.
I
like
Taylor's
to think that
version.
I'm in Medley's version right now.
You are in Medley's version.
Like, we got to do all the albums originally, and now we're doing Medley's version.
Yes. How's his sound, by the way, if anybody can give me feedback on that? I think it's okay. It sounds good to me. Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody can hear you. If I have to turn you up or not. I agree. I think this is Medley's version.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about that.
It's an honor to be here on The Spark on your show. It's a cool show. I've watched a couple episodes.
That rocks!
It's truly an honor to be here. You know, it's one of the only reputable ones of these types of things. I think.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this.
I'm gonna go on the record
Get into it.
as saying that. No, I mean there's a lot of people saying a lot of things out there online.
Yeah.
You know, I'm online. My Twitter handle, or not my Twitter display, not my handle.
Your name, your display name. I guess that's what that's called. Your display name.
Medley from online. I feel like I'm gonna ride that out for the rest of my career.
That's really accurate, honestly.
It is extremely, like, it's finally true.
It's been cool, and you said this already before, but now I'll say it. It's been cool to know each other for so long, because I can see how you are becoming you. I can see all the yous that you have been. I've known a lot of different versions of you, but now, like, I actually get to see you being you the way that you are, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like, all over the place, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's him. That's Medley.
The editor's cut, the director's edition.
The director's edition.
It's a long, hard road. And I can say the same for you. 100%. I could say the same for you know, a bunch of our crew.
True.
You know, watching them go through even the hard times of you know, the final coagulation moments.
Yes.
is the hardest and the worst, because you're looking the deepest and at your deepest, darkest selves. But I feel, I don't know, everyone gets through it. And everyone has those kinds of times. But it is insane. I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I've been getting really not nostalgic, but just kind of looking at it all. It feel I don't know. Do you feel this like pressure? Do you feel this as an artist? Because we're talking about art, like. Do you not feel this, like, just pressure?
Describe the pressure.
Okay, so it sucks ass. Can I say ass?
Yeah, you can swear.
I'm gonna try not to swear so much.
Yeah, it's like a spice.
It sucks ass that, like, one of the better representations of the feeling I can you know, just pull to where everyone would be like, oh yeah, I get that. from fucking Hamilton. Why do you always write like you're running out of time? Because I am. Because we are.
Because I am.
Because it's well, but like because we are. Because we are. Like,
did you see that Scorsese interview where he was like, "There's so much that I still want to do, and I'm actually out of time."
Yeah.
And I like looked at looked at his face, just being like, you actually do run out of you do run out of time, and I was just like, I gotta go. I gotta start all the things. Like, it was like, but it's, I guess, you could call it a pressure. It's an urgency.
Yeah, it's an urgency. Now, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how much of that urgency is manufactured by,
scarcity mindset.
The trappings. Correct. Yeah, scarcity mindset. That's a great one. That to me, that's even just a part of it though. There's this big holistic thing made up of all these nuances, like scarcity mindset.
Yes.
Like the Western encroachment on just how minds work for capital gain and only capital gain. And it's like there's artists out there, and then there's grifters. Like, I don't know.
I think every industry, I think every industry has grifters. I think once I entered the streaming space, which is like one of the last industries I've entered, I've been in several different kinds of industries, and there's different tiers of different industries. That's how industries work. But there's definitely, I've fallen prey. It's sad because I'm so like, everything's gonna be great this time, because you want to believe that like I finally found, and also I didn't start streaming because that's something that I wanted to do. I started streaming because it looked fun to do. I didn't even know there were famous streamers when I started streaming. Like, that's how I got, like, I was just like, oh, this is just a fun thing that people do online.
Well, when you started, were there like really famous streamers?
Yeah, there were. Shroud. Like, there were but I think I didn't think of it like that because streaming is so much bigger than like acting in terms of it, the amount of like the like filtered personalities, and like you can be a really big streamer and nobody knows who you are. Whereas like with like acting, you're like a famous actor and people see you on TV. So it's like different. So I was only watching Apex Legends, I didn't know who these famous streamers were because and then the way that streaming works, there's like famous streamers for like one game, and they're famous for the people who love that game, but nobody knows who they are. So it was a different, like, I didn't know you could get famous by streaming, because in my mind you can only get famous if you're on movies or TV or music. Like, if you're only in mass media, that's the only way that you can get famous, kind of. So I was like, I wasn't I was like, oh great, anymore. Finally no, it's not. It's all the same.
Isn't true anymore.
No, yeah.
I was gonna pop in there and be like, it's one of the few things where it's like, I know it's not just because I'm getting older or whatever, but I'll be on Twitter, something like that, and it'll be like, famous streamer Q Dog Mommy Milk.
Yes, yeah, dude,
does this, and I'm like, who is this? And then I see like this tweet has been seen 200 million times.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I go and I look at Hussein Mommy Milk or whatever I said. And, and dude's got like 1.5 million followers.
Dude,
subs,
yes.
Like, it has been making $200,000 a year for the last 9 years.
I didn't know you could do that. I was like, this is for real? And I think this is something of like, because like I always reference the Spider-Verse because it's such a popular, it's a good touchstone media, but it's also like indicative of where our collective consciousness is at the moment.
Yes.
And like, we used to be very much more intimately sharing a reality, the same reality. And now, because of the internet and the way that the internet works, everyone is having much more individual experiences, and it's indicative of like streaming is a big like indicator. Well,
now to swing it back though, to take it back a little bit, that is ultimately the Western mindset. It's on you and only you And like, if you ask for help, you're weak. And if you rely on people, you're weak. And if you can't do it, no one can do it. Like,
there is that. There is very much that.
So pervasive.
That is very much
pervasive in everything.
Well,
I'll tell you a little anecdote about is real quick. You know, we have social welfare.
Dr. Yesterday says we're living in a more monoculture society. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm. But it's like an idiosyncratic monoculture designed for each person. Like, it's not a monoculture because a monoculture we would all have the same culture. Yeah. And in a sense we do, because we all have our own. Like, everyone has like their own individual culture. Like, granted, us, the weird like crew of people we've amassed, you know, there are these collectives about that kind of have their own sub mini cultures. Yeah. And
always
those
have.
Are around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, you know, maybe that is the monoculture.
Or are we like, just more aware of it now? Like, are we just aware of other people's cultures, other people's monocultures now because we have the internet? It's not that the internet is creating these things. It's that they've always been around. We just never connected to them. Because why would I know about a DIY punk culture in Ohio? I wouldn't. If I'm in Illinois, I don't know. But now I know about them.
You're parasocially involved in this DIY punk scene
because they post on Instagram now. So like, there's like, now it's almost like, so it's actually, now that we're putting it in this frame, in this perspective, it's not the splitting. It's actually more like, oh, we're aware of all of our monocultures, and now we're kind of getting threaded in all together, because it's like
spread too thin.
No, maybe? we're getting threaded into all these other cultures where we would only be like, if I was a streamer.
You know, Hideo Kojima would call it a strand.
We're strand.
We're stranded.
I didn't play that one. Although I did watch you play a little bit. I was gonna watch you play it.
Yeah. So, yeah, streaming isn't for me. I love doing this type of stuff. I love having discussions and things. I'm not like a single personality.
That makes sense.
I work better in tandem or in groups.
Streaming is very.
I like it more. It fulfills me more. Streaming is very isolating, even if you're playing with other people, or you know, it is. For me, at least. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and we talked about your energy type a little bit, and you're a generator, and you do need other people around, because you can't just be generating all this energy by yourself. Whereas I'm a projector, and it's better when I'm alone because I continuously absorb everybody's energy. So if I'm with too many people, it's like, so streaming has been a weirdly perfect thing for me, where I can be with everybody but not be on top of everyone.
And your wonderful, wonderful collective.
Yes.
The Cheeseburger Collective.
Who I love.
Happy to be a part. They're the most wonderful church that is not a cult, but if it is a cult, you can leave it.
It's a cult, but you can leave whenever. So like, is it a cult?
Just go whenever.
Yeah, you can go. Resistance is fine. I wanted to talk about, because it's at the tip of my head, the thing we were talking about, which is this, because we're talking about making art, and I was reflecting on this last night, because I was in one of my friend's Christmas variety shows, and it was great. And was
it on a stream?
It was in real life on a theater.
Oh my god!
My roots, and it was great. And it was great.
Back on stage.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I love doing this. Like it's like nice. And then we all like went to a restaurant to eat food and drink drinks afterwards. And like I was like, oh yeah, that's what you do. You have a show and then you all go like sit at a place, and it's cute. It's cute. But doing that all the time just wears me out, because you're up so late and you're hanging out with people, and you're just like always gunning for the stage, fucking always trying to look for a stage, like that certain thing. But there's an element of that and to like also tie in your like grifter mentality. The grifter idea. Master Q. Hello, Master Q. Oh, I know what that says, but I'm just going to call you Master Q. Thank you. So tying
I gotta
in.
Pull up chat. I gotta see.
I gotta blow up chat. I gotta see who this is.
I gotta pull up chat.
Don't read it. Don't read the words. Don't read the words.
I love it.
I'm not gonna read it.
I'm not gonna
please
read
behave. Or I'll kick you. But
behave.
behave. There's this so when you, back in my day, when you first start wanting to perform,
mm-hmm.
you used to have to go find a place to perform. You used to have to go find a place, and you were hungry to find the place, and you had to meet people who also wanted to perform, and you had to figure out how you were going to get on stage. And it was a very much like, for me, I don't know how it was for you. You can also weigh in on this, but it was very much like,
I have a thought.
It was very much like, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm trying to cultivate, like, a way to get on stage, a way for me to be on stage, to do the things that I want to do these artistic things that I've either been inspired by other people to do, or I've seen done and I want to try it, whatever it is. But it was very much like, you're like always trying to get on stage, or always figuring out how you're going to get on stage. You're planning with other people how you got to find a stage. Like, it was very like, there's a culture around it, but there's like a hunger to it, like a goal oriented direction to that like in streaming and in like content creation. And this is the thing where I get like very thespian poo-poo-y with like content creation, is that like, you're just being a freak in public. Like, you're just being like and a lot of content creators that are like very popular with children are like being a menace in public, like in a way that's like antisocial behavior to make content on the internet, which is like not the same thing in my mind as like trying to perform. It's this like bastardization of like needing attention that's like mutated into like what I don't know what that is.
Public humiliation.
Yeah, something like that. And then not to even mention like the grifting part, which is like, you're acting like you're performing, but you're like doing something else. I don't know what it is. Like, if you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to like get viewed, like it's a very like, it's using the very basic like presentational skill of like performing that you learn to be like palatable, I guess, like a stage voice, to like grift something, to like get views, to get likes. And it's all this like data set, it's all this like data, like analyzing data and trying to get more views and trying to get more likes and trying to get more views and trying to get more likes in the effort to do, I don't know what it is, but it's different for everyone, I guess. But like there's this like absence of the like,
there's a metric to everything now. There's a couple points I want to kind of like bounce off of.
Dr. Esther says following model behavior is most of how humans get of all ages learn best. Okay. Fair.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Fair.
There was to go back to your live, like, you know, the live performance element.
Yes.
You know, sort of how it was. There's a big part of it where like you had to suck. Like,
in public, in front of people.
You had to go out and be bad and not good at it.
Yes.
And you had to feel what it felt like to suck, first off.
So much.
And like, even like, because the early, like, let's go, but because that, like, let's say that was around the earlier days of YouTube, right? Where it's like people kind of knew you could put videos on there and cultivate a following or whatever, but it wasn't what we know it to be today.
You did that as like a project, as like a fun thing you were doing.
You would make a YouTube, but there was no like, if you were us in the South Side of Chicago or whatever, there was no like pretense that anyone was gonna like see it or give a shit.
No, you just did it so that you could have it.
You showed it to your friends, and like, so there was no failure to any sort of that sort of thing. But there also was like something happened, and now it's just like we realized or are lying to ourselves that like you can look at a number under a video and be like, okay, I'm gonna like do something like that, and like just keep like like that train of thought times infinity ad infinitum.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's all it's ever going to be. It's going to be, what the fuck is the most looked at thing online? Yeah. I have to do something like that forever, or I'm not going to be successful. And like,
Mish says, David Blaine talks about this, the idea that it takes 1,000 times to fail something before getting the trick perfectly once. Yeah.
100%. Well, every great motherfucker says something like that.
You gotta fail. You gotta fail. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So now we have this. We have like, and there is a distinction between content, art. There are a lot of distinctions in all.
And because there's artists who are making content around their art, but they're also making art, but then they're like, oh, this is the content to sell my art, to like let you know about the art. Yeah.
I think of it, my personal distinctions and definitions, right? Let's get into it.
Okay.
Like, to me, content creation is whatever the fuck Jerma is doing. Like, that is the platonic ideal. Like, if you take that,
whatever and the kind fuck Jerma is doing,
like if you take that,
you said this before to me.
Yeah, and
Jerma is doing basically what you would say is that.
It's not, it's not stand up. It's not like, he has his concepts, and like I would argue that the baseball game with the clowns versus the magicians, that's a piece of art. Like, that's a high piece of performance art.
Yeah.
One of the highest we've seen in our modern times.
Is that something Jerma did?
Yeah, he staged a full 9-inning game with actors and he was the umpire, and he just streamed it as one of his streams once, just as a piece of art.
Yeah.
Like, but his streams and all that sort of stuff, like, that's content.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing really there, but if you like take little clips and stuff, you could make like, a 25-minute gag reel where it's like just jokes and stuff. Anyways, all of that to say, like, you're rewarded so much more these days, I suppose, for making content, talking about people dying who died in real life. Like, there is a living to be made just discussing murder. Just talking about murders that happen. Like, you don't have to imagine, you don't have to fail, you don't have to do you don't have to put any of yourself into anything. You just have to talk about people.
Yeah, like, if you wanted to, you could just do that and not do
with a persona, with an algorithmically provided persona that you found, and we're like, okay, I have my podcast voice, now I'm going to talk about murders. It's like, and that's just an example. That's just an easy, like, we all know what I'm talking about kind of thing. I don't mean to single that out. I know there's good true crime shit out there. I've heard some things.
I've heard some things.
I've heard a couple 1, 2. Like, anything Jamie Loftus does is really good. She does one about like ghosts and things. I don't know if you've ever listened to her podcasts. I think you'd get a lot out of them. I think everyone would, really.
Yeah.
They're just very good.
Yeah,
she does one about the book too. Lolita. That was really good. I gotta read her hot dog book.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like, there's an active, even amongst people we know, there's this active, and I fell prey to it for a long stretch of time, maybe 2-3 years, of just like, I don't want anything enriching. I want everything to be stupid that I engage with, and I just want to like watch a guy make wooden chairs on like, that can fulfill you, but it's not gonna like make you think critically about anything. Like, I like going goo fast race in a racing game, but like, that can't be it. That can't be that can't be where you draw the line.
Only thing
you can't
coming
only play
in
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, like, the only thing coming in can't be, because I love those videos of when they make Yixing teapots in China. There's like this method of making like perfect. They're perfect teapots. And like that's great, and like that's I would consider that art. The video that's showing me doing it is content, but them making it is art and me appreciating art. But even that's like you can't spend. I mean you can do whatever you want, I guess. It doesn't matter what the fuck you do, but there's something there's reasons why like you can't only spend your time consuming like nothing, right? Like it's like ultimately like, but that's the other thing is it's like consuming. It's the idea of like the consumption of it. Like everything is like, we say like, that's why I always like, people are like, I always have a hard time being like, yeah, I'm a content creator, because it's like, I don't really I do create content, but I don't consider myself a content creator just because that's not what I'm trying to only do. So it's not.
Well, that's a big reason why I think you need to get into video essays, because you could be a really good essayist and then just say that that's what you are.
I read an essay at this show yesterday.
Did you? What was it about?
I read my essay. It was about. It was called, the essay is called Santa's Not Fake, I Know That Guy. And it's about how I believed in Santa for a really long time, only because I was sure that my mom didn't like me enough to be Santa. So I was like, there's no way she's doing this, because this is so much. Like, I just don't feel like she likes me that much. But then as I grew up, everyone was like, no, dude, like Santa's not real. And I was like, well, this is weird. Then I felt weird, because then I was like, wait, I really don't think my mom likes me this much, but apparently she does. I'm confused. And then it's like about how like, also we kind of feel the same way about God, and how like we think God's a fucking asshole. And like a lot of our religions is like, why would you do that? Why would you create God to be an asshole? But then it's about like how like, well, I'm God and I'm my mom and I'm Santa Claus and, you know, I'm all of that.
Yeah,
so.
If you're choosing God, why would he be a dick?
Exactly. And that's the like, there's no like poignant, it doesn't really like, it's really just like how I just wanted to talk about how I didn't believe in Santa, because I didn't think my mom liked me enough.
How much do we have to pay Jeff to animate that?
How much do we have to pay Jeff to animate that? So much money. Once I get all the money, Jeff will just be my artist, and then you'll see. Yeah. Oh my God, that's like my coworker.
A couple grand on that fucking Sicko Shock 2.
Oh yeah.
Just for their podcast or whatever. I'm telling you, yeah. Once you pop the, I mean, I'm not gonna. Once you get going on those things you were discussing.
Oh, I'm doing it.
There could be some money.
Oh, I'm doing it. But Pro Night Gamer says, "Oh my God, that's my coworker." Is that you?
I would love to see that. That's
you can't have Jeff. He'll be on my payroll. It'll be great. And then you could have him too. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'll put money on that animation.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Of that essay. That sounds great. That sounds really good.
It's good. It was good. I liked it. I was nervous because I only wrote it, like I finished writing it last night. So I was like, it's gonna be bad. I've never done this before. And it was good.
That's always the best.
Pro Night Gamer.
That's another thing I find.
Says I'm covering his shift so he can be here. Tell him he's lucky.
That's not true. I know who that is. That's my boy Big D. He's a good dude.
Hi, Big D.
His dad owns a falafel.
Oh yes.
And makes the best I've ever had in my life.
I don't even know what
the restaurant is called. He still has never told me what the restaurant is called.
Oh come on, tell him.
No one is covering my shift. I was off today. I requested off this day to be here.
Suck it.
With Chat and Carly.
Yeah, because we scheduled this last month. We were
I'll
talking
be honest,
about.
I did forget what I.
That's good.
What I requested.
I figured you'd forget because it'd been a long time, so I'm glad.
Oh, this is great. I'll come on anytime.
Don't lie, I'm here. But something about content creation, the consumption.
Yeah, it's like I mean, we're not the only more and more of a crotchety old man about it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I can't tolerate that. I can't. I don't know. It's weird. Wherever the fiscal consumptive priorities lie in the mass populace is like so fucked up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna try and make that the only time I drop an F-bomb, but it's just so wild to me seeing the people who are making more money than everyone I know ever will in their lives doing nothing. like watching other people's videos and like
I have an idea about this though.
Having any like
I have an idea about this though.
Everyone's a pundit.
It's not yes, true. It's that they allow that to be, they allow what they're doing to be enough. They don't like, there's something about the people who are prosperous in a lot of different ways. But what I notice about them, and it's something that like a lot of the people who are so talented, but they don't get there, or they can't seem to get where they deserve to be or whatever it is. But I think there's a level of like, these people who are prosperous believe that what they're doing is enough. They do believe that what they're doing is enough. And there is a certain like, and I experience this where I think people will be like, no, what you're doing is great. What you're doing is great. But there's always going to be, doesn't matter what level I'm at, there is this program that runs that's like, no, it's not good enough. No, what you're doing is not good enough. And there's something, you're off. You're just not going to hit them. And there's this like, and I'm not saying that people who are like what we would consider successful or what somebody would consider successful don't experience this, but what I observe in the people who are doing these, like what we would consider like, you're not doing anything, what are you doing? They're just they're just doing what they're doing, and they're accepting that it's enough. Even though we're like going to be like, you fuck you, what the fuck are you doing? They don't give a shit because they're just, whatever they're doing is enough. So it's almost like you gotta like...
I just want to say I understand. Yeah. I when I talk about this sort of stuff, I can come off as you know, being salty or whatever, like jealous. I wish I was making $200,000 to be watching other people's
people do stuff and talking about it. Yeah,
drama about it and talking about how much these people are evil devils, or whatever. Like I don't want that for myself. I'm very happy with all of the like following I have online and the people that I talk to online that like my stuff and things like that. Like I'm very fulfilled and comfortable here at this level.
Yes.
I honestly don't know how much more I would be comfortable with.
No, yeah, maybe I think about that a lot too. Like, okay, so you want, and that's another thing I think about with streamers who it's like, that's yeah. But even that is a lot. It's a lot more.
Then theoretically, it's not that much. Well, I would need like 100 people to give me $10 a month.
Like, yeah, to get that. Well, no. In terms of like the way that this works, though, like it's hard to actually get what you would prefer, because sometimes you become so much more appealing than you actually wanted to be, and all of a sudden you're caught in this cage. I think I see a lot of streamers, especially female streamers, get into this point where they're like, I got really appealing to a lot of people that I don't, really fast to a lot of people that I don't necessarily even want to be watching my stuff, and now I'm like beholden to them kind of because this is my job.
That's the same thing that happened to REM.
What happened to REM?
They accidentally got so big because they were so like, you know, good at making songs that they like college jocks and stuff like that started getting really into them, and they did, I forget what tour it was. I learned all this from the Are You Talking REM Me podcast with Adam Scott and Scott Aukerman, the Scotts. But yeah, and that was, you know, it like Michael Stipe like just got like disillusioned with music and like what he was doing, because he was like, how can people like this like what I'm saying and what I'm doing, you know, like how am I this appealing sort of thing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, you know, and I've always been a big fan of Michael Stipe, like as an artist. Like I've always respected his approach to art and you know, his art life, how he thinks about it, and that whatever that level is, that's good. You know, he sits in his room, he like puts out music whenever he wants, and he chills and like doesn't comment on anything. That's the other thing. It's like God damn. Like, why does everyone need to commenting know everything all the time about everything? I mean, I will tell anyone anything they want to know about how I think about anything, point blank. If anyone asks me a question, I will tell you the truth as I see it at that moment in time, 100% of the time. But like, do I have to have an opinion on everything that happens on every, like, when I see old dank mommy milk, do I have to then have an opinion on it? Like, do I have to cast a moral judgment on this guy? Like, that I just saw, that I just heard of his existence just now? Like, is this my problem now? That's how I feel on Twitter sometimes. It's like people are like, this is your problem now, this is your problem. Like, here's this information, that's your problem now. Like, here's this. Well, and that's it's like we're all cursing each other with this, like,
that's like a skill. Information. That's like a skill that you train to be like, that's none of my business, actually. That's right. Actually none of my business.
You are a guru of that. You have been preaching that for a long time.
I still forget. I still am like, oh, right, that's not my business. A lot of things are not my business.
But that's a big thing. That's a big thing circling under everything that we're talking about, going to be talking about, is it's active. It's active.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. It's active. You let your mind go passive.
It's a lot of work to be in your own integrity, actually.
It's so fucking hard to have integrity and morals and shit, and to be
who you are, to be who you actually are, just who you actually are. Like I was
talking about, the path to recovery. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to recover who we really are.
Yes.
We get indoctrinated with all this fucking nonsense the whole time.
Overlays and like who people want you to be and who you're supposed to be, and who people who you love think you should be. Yeah.
I don't think I truly started trying to recover who I was until I was even like 28, like not even that long ago, really. I mean, I circled around. I use that phrase. I was circling around.
Yeah.
Like a fucking vulture. But like I was circling around the idea of like there's something fucking wrong with me. Like I abuse the shit. I drink a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, like there's something wrong. Like something's wrong. Off.
Everyone tells me like there's not that much, that I'm not that bad of a person, really. But I think that I am so much that I am becoming the worst person in the world. And like, yeah, there was a period in my life where I was drinking like a 6-pack of Miller High Life almost every single night, if not every other night.
Shit.
It was, yes,
That's Southside though. Rest in peace.
Bad. No, it was bad. And you know, I started I started drifting away from the fucking alcohol. I had my little wake up call, and that like I didn't have to go through the program or anything like that. Like for whatever reason, my will was strong, and I was just like, I need to be different. Like I need to be active in my life. I need to have feelings, and I need to feel those feelings. And like reckon with them, and you know, like a lot of people I know, and a lot of us artists out there, like we're scared of the void, and we're trying to avoid it. Like we're
trying to fill it with everything that's not you.
Fill it, trying to get it away. It's there. It's fucking inside of you. Like look at it and say hello. Like it, like don't worry about it. It's there. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Like you can't you can't get it to go. It's not gonna go away.
You will not get it to go away. Like, and the minute you, as a human being, everyone out there understands that you're going to die. Like the void never goes away. If you could somehow go through your whole life being like not understanding death or the concept of it, maybe like you'd be like happy. Maybe you'd be like an okay person. But that's not, none of us have that. The void is there.
Well, and I mean,
it's okay.
The void, and a lot of what people are, what I have observed anyway, a lot of what it is just it's not even, it's a rejection of you yourself, and that's what's making you act like that. Like it's not, there's nothing wrong with you. You think that there's a lot wrong with you, and you're rejecting yourself, and that's why when you were rejecting the very like just you being, You're like, you have that eyeball that's watching you, that's you inside of you, rejecting you all the time. Then you act like a fucking fucked up person because you're like, you're not safe. You're never safe from that eyeball. It's always like, that's what you did, and you did this, and you did this. It's not other people. And then this is something that I realized a long time ago, but then I like was like, oh my God, I wasn't getting invited to things, but I had I was much younger and I wasn't getting invited to things from friends from college, and I was like, why aren't they inviting me to anything? But they weren't, because I wasn't accepting their invites to other things. And I was like, I thought nobody liked me, but it's like, or whatever, and that's like a program too of nobody likes you and you're not good enough, whatever. But what is a person who thinks that and is running that program, how do they act? Like a shithead who nobody likes, because you are creating this like storm, and then you're reacting to ghosts in your head, which is just you being like, you're not good enough and everything you do is bad. But maybe you make a mistake and whatever, who cares? And as soon as you get up off your own dick about that stuff, you act fine. You're fine. You behave. Yes. You behave the way that you're gonna behave, and it's okay. And and a lot of that has to do too with like forgiving the way that you act and forgiving the way that other people act, because some people are out of pocket, and then you're like, sorry, like, oh wow, you're going through it, like, sheesh. Like, yeah, a lot of it's like,
especially now, especially over the last, let's just even say post-pandemic or whatever, like if you didn't get a little, as a sort of pseudo intellectual person, as I assume everyone watching this is,
yes, everyone's
like,
a genius.
If you didn't get, some modicum of empathy of like, everyone's mind is fucking goo, dude. Like, I work retail in my day job now. I'll go off on this little tangent. I was stuck in an office with millionaires, billionaires, banks, checks, all that sort of nonsense for like 6 years. Now I'm back on the ground with regular people. Yeah. Everyone I work with is cool as hell, regular as hell. But like, just so many people have minds of goo. Like, they don't understand the world as it really is. It's like some sort of fantasy. This goes back to the beginnings of our conversation. This individual, like, they are so living in their individual world that the real objective world that we're sharing doesn't even fucking exist anymore. Well, like, it's that far gone.
That's what we've had this conversation though before too, is that there is no objective reality that everybody can agree on, because the way that we're perceiving everything is ultimately through our own lens. But to your point,
I'm talking about the corporeal space.
Yeah, the corporeal space.
All share
but
together,
even that is affected by the lens through which we view it. But even that is affected by the lens through which we view it. Because if you take a miserable person and put them in the same room as a very happy person, they're going to experience the room differently, even though similar things are happening in the room. Because we can only But
the room is still the room. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. The room is never not the room.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
but a dog.
That's all I'm trying to say.
No, yeah. But that's other people, yeah.
I get it. There's two people, the room is two different rooms, but it's one room. And
but the idea, I think the idea that what it sounds like is that it's not even that they're not accepting objective reality, it's that they're not accepting that everybody else is also having their objective reality, so they must respect that. Like, you must respect these. Yeah. There are other people here. Like, there are, like, whatever your experience is, your experience is great. You're also living here with other people, and it would do you a solid to put another lens on there where it's like, I'm living on this earth with all these people. All these people are here with me.
That's right.
And that would be easier if we could all be like, aren't we all like, and that's the issue that we keep having, that like the big issue is that like the separation is an illusion. Like, we're all one thing. And the more that we're trying to be like, no, it's me, it's just me. And I'm like, cause it's either like, it is just one, but we're all one. So we're all one. So if you're excluding me, you're not one. It's not just you here. We're all here being the one. And the more that you like push everything away, out, like it's like it's just me here being by myself, and none of you get it, like none of you like, but it's like, no, they're you
it's
too.
Just like Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's just like that.
Probably just like Star Trek.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's just like Star Trek.
Star Trek.
That's why the Federation doesn't want to come down here.
Star Trek is cool. They got all the right ideas. Like, that's definitely not the path that we're on. And it's our duty as artists to influence that path, not influence people to buy things. I was printing something, and it was like a pink, perfectly square photo that said like influencer, and it was split up like it was like a dictionary definition. And it was like someone who can inspire other people to become their best selves or something like that. And I was like, that's not what it is. Like, what?
I think that's the ideal of what that is, because that is similar to what like my goal is, but that's not. But the definitions get co-opted by Tentacle Man. Every definition, like, because an influencer can be like the first inception of influencer is like, oh yeah, somebody who can influence other people, somebody who can influence people to be their best selves. Great, that's the ideal, right? But then Tentacle Man's like, well, if they can influence them to be themselves, you can definitely influence somebody to buy shit, right?
Tentacle Man's like, the only way you can achieve your best self is by purchasing my new skin lotion.
Yeah. And it's hard because it's like, I'm always like,
is if you eat B vitamins that we made for you. It is our special luxury blend.
Everybody
the only
wants
way
to
you can be your best self
world
is if you drink Soylent meal replacement.
I used to drink Soylent, but I was very hungry.
I was thinking about getting on.
It was like sometimes you're so hungry your brain stops working, and I was like, I need something that will stop that from happening. Is what that like. I was like, I didn't replace meals with it. I was literally like, I need something that like will just make my brain work so that I can decide what to do about food and not feel like I'm going crazy, because I would be out and about. This was when I was like doing comedy and stuff. Yeah, it was like I would keep it in my bag. Okay, I'm hungry. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so starving. Drink the Soylent. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to Whole Foods, or I'll go to this grocery store. Like it was, and then I could like decide. But it was like, I was like so busy. Well, and that's the other thing. I was like, I don't like running around that busy. I don't like running around all the time, being out and only being out and never coming home and never having any time to do anything or think. And I think that's another thing that keeps us like, it's very easy. And that's why I scroll so much, because I like time, like sometimes I'm just waiting. Like I don't like to spend a lot of time. I don't like to put a lot of things one right after the other, because the time just gets all fucking messed up, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be late for this, I have to cancel this, I can't do that. So like doing too many things in a day is like, well, some of this shit's gonna fall off, so I'm not gonna plan to do too much stuff in a day, because fuck that. But then I
usually try and keep it at one.
What?
That's my method. I try and only line up one thing
yeah
each day.
I have like lists of things that I have to get done. Sometimes I'll spin a wheel and it'll tell me what to do. Sometimes I'll just like write like what I can think of on my whiteboard, and then I'm like, okay, well I can see that. But it's a lot of I don't, and this goes back to the eyeball. I just close the eyeball. It's like, I don't need to do really I'm fine. You stop looking at me, like stop, like you're not doing it right, you're not doing that right, and a lot of that is self-compassion, and a lot of that is like of being like, I don't care if I ever do anything right ever again, actually. Being alive is the best. I did it. Everything else after that is a bonus. You like
being alive is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, like actually incarnating, crazy. Crazy. I'm wild for that. I actually incarnated in a body, in a human body. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go incarnate in a human body, and you're gonna give me shit because I don't answer my emails on time? Go fuck yourself.
You expect me to incarnate and be all bummed the fuck out?
No.
And hurried all the time and running ragged?
No.
I don't think so.
And I think that's the other thing. That's why it's like when you take the time to make art, and this is why I like, especially visual artists who are like, I fucking hate doing this content shit. I just want to make my art, dude. Like, there is that element of like, this isn't what it's about though. This isn't like endless consumption isn't what it's about. Like endless like production. Like there's artists who wrote one book. You know, there's art like like it's not like,
how many books did Truman Capote actually write? Like 3?
Yeah, like, and most of the time, and fucking Fran Lebowitz, I worked until I had the $250 to pay my rent, and then I hung out because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to hang out.
Well, that's what she could do.
Well,
what she could do then.
Well, yeah,
and then they made that illegal. They made it illegal for you to be able to just like write an essay every month and live your life.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot to be said for like, well, and that's the other thing is like, there's a lot to be said for like, I think people are told to want so much more now. We're told that we need like, you need this and you need so many things. And as we're chasing these things, all these basic things get taken away because we're not paying attention to like how they're trying to take away the libraries. They're taking away third spaces. They're taking all this shit away. And we're like, we hate.
I think are gone. I think going into 2024, I'm not really sure that there are anymore.
My stream's a third space.
Yeah, that's true.
My stream's a third space.
The only third spaces are online. I mean, well, that's another reason why I leaned into the like online thing. Like I truly do think there is a utility to the online.
Or you pause.
It's not that. It's not the ends, you know, it's the means to whatever the inevitable end is. But there's utility to this online thing.
Yeah.
If we all use it the right way.
Yeah, because everything's like, a tool. We have free will.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I mean, I I can't even put it any more succinctly than that. Like, we just have to use it the right way.
Yeah.
And and
be conscious and awake about what the fuck you're doing.
Even the smartest minds, even me, you know, I'm preaching and not practicing probably.
No, yeah, same.
But like, we're not supposed to engage at all with the shit. Like, whatever the like ironic engagement is, whatever element, like that's intrinsic to being online, is this like ironic detachment, engagement with things that you hate, like things that you don't want to see anymore, so that you can say, I don't like this.
Creating negative energy, like propagating negative energy, as opposed to
this negative energy.
And that's a concept in energy work.
As saying the buck stops
here.
Like,
that's a concept of energy work.
Stupid fucking thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean like you can take the stupid thing and deflect it, but you don't have to spread it.
Well, and that's what people don't like to hear, is that the more you put energy into it's human nature. That's what war is. What you resist persists. What you resist persists. So if you're against something, in order to be against something, you have to match its energy. You have to go up against it. Now, it's a completely different thing if you, instead of and you can like not agree with stuff and not like it, whatever. Yeah. But the actual way to get rid of something you don't want isn't by trying to destroy it. It's by giving all of your energy to what you do want.
Right.
So when people are like,
here's this to your point, you know, in this example, the Twitter thing, you see this stupid fucking thing, you don't like it, you cast the judgment, you say, I don't like this. It's to your point of like, that's not my business.
Yeah.
Like, your only duty at that point, not to share, not to alert everybody in the world, I don't like this, this is stupid. But if someone asks you about it, if someone asks you directly, how do you feel about this one thing? Then you share your opinion. Then you definitely say, I don't like it.
Or not.
I don't like it.
Especially if you don't want to engage with it. No, yeah, you can be like, actually, let's not talk about that. But you can have your truth. You can always have your opinions. But if you don't want to be giving because the main thing is like energy harvesting. The main thing is like, what am I spending my time on? Because the whole of everything right now, it's the last frontier is your attention. That's the last thing that they can get.
Another way to put energy harvesting is just saying attention harvesting. Yeah. You know, for those who don't like
where your attention goes, energy flows.
Yes, it's just attention. Your attention is your time. Yeah. Your attention is your intent.
Your focus. And it's very easy. That's like one of the oldest plays in the book is to irritate you so that you say something. But if you're a master of yourself, you don't have to say. I don't have to say anything to you. I don't have. What do you think? Does any of us know what Dolly Parton thinks about anything? No. Well, what is she gonna? What is she doesn't get involved in that because she's a master at that shit.
I know a thing about Dolly. No, she made maybe walk that back a little bit. She made some comments recently about some conflicts in the Middle East.
In terms of
may not be very good.
Well, that sucks. But in terms of most things, she doesn't engage on the level that people are asking her to engage. She just does what she's gonna do to put the energy that she wants to see out in the world. So like the books and giving the free books to the children and like building the Dollywood, whatever, all the shit that she's doing that is not engaging in the way that whatever it is that's trying to take away, trying to like tear her down or do whatever, she's just not treating with them on that level because she knows like there's no winning when you get into that argument because obviously you already have your like, why are we talking like, and that's the other thing about online. It's like you already believe what you believe. I don't know why we're engaging like this. Like I'm not here to be a person that you can do this dance with because I have shit to use my energy for. I have stuff I want to build. Right. And I can't spend all day arguing with you. Well, I have shit to do.
It only goes to that old saying of like, you can only kind of lead by example or whatever.
Yes,
like, you can only live your life the right way that you think is right and true so hard that some idiot that you disagree with like takes a look at you and is like, damn, maybe that is right.
Or just ignores you completely because you're not going to engage with them. Like, because like, I'm not going to get into these petty squabbles with you when I'm actually doing something.
Right.
Because I think that's the other thing about being online is that we think getting into fights is doing something because we want to fight so bad.
Yeah.
For some, I don't know.
They trick us sometimes. Every now and then they'll do something and they'll be like, this is because the online. You know, if like they change how Sonic looks because everyone like yelled online.
Yeah, or like if you think this, then you're bad. And a lot of like that's still control. That's still like you're not doing anything that other people aren't like. You think you're being a good person, which so do bad people think that they're being a good, or they at least don't think that they're being bad. Or
bad people very much think that they're correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe good or bad isn't a thing to them, but they think they're correct. Whatever it is. But it's like if you're still doing the same dynamic that people who are like abusing other people are doing, you're still abusive. You're still coercive. You're still controlling. If you can somehow find a way to divorce, have like affect change while not using the same vehicles that destroy and oppress other people, then that's great. Yeah. That's probably what we should be spending our time doing. Not getting in fights with people on the internet about who's good and who's bad when shit is happening. Like, what are you doing?
What's that old thing? Like, you can't destroy the master's house with the tools.
Yeah, with the master's tools. You can't dismantle the master's house with master's tools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like
sneak in, steal the tools. Guess what? You can't dismantle the house with them. You need to build a whole new house.
That whole idea that like you can only fix it from the inside. It's like no, you can't.
You
like,
literally can't.
Was I going off on this to you the other day? I forget who it was. I was like, look, like, oh no, I was at work. Someone was like kind of joking around with me, and they were like, oh, you should run for president. And I was like, which? That might be the podcast I start. It would be called Medley for President.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
And I just think it would be really funny to actively online just try and get enough hype because I can run for president in 2028. And I think
you'll
really
be old
funny.
Enough, right?
I'd be old enough. Yeah. But
well, that's funny.
Yeah, but I don't know. I need someone. I need like someone to be like my aide character or something. like bounce off of. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it more. Regardless,
you got 4 years.
What was I saying? I got distracted.
You can't dismantle the master's house with the master's tools.
Can't dismantle. Oh yeah, I'm at work and they're like, you should be the president. I'm like, no. You don't understand. I can never be the president because the thing about the United States of America is if you are too true and too correct and trying to like actually provoke real fundamental change, they shoot you in the head.
Yeah, dude.
And like, I'm not necessarily trying to die. I'm definitely trying to provoke critical thought by doing the stupidest things that make me giggle in my heart and like making some music sometimes. But no, like I can't get in front of 100,000
that's exactly what you said.
Like,
you can't change the system from the inside of it, and that's exactly what that is.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
We don't.
I have to sit outside on the outskirts and be like, hey guys, it doesn't have to be like this.
Well, and that's how. Well, and that's how like change happens, is that you change yourself first, and because we are all one, that changes everything. But you being committed to your own change will change everybody, because that's what your business is changing yourself and doing your job, and not at the expense of other people and not in spite of other people, but like when you do that, that's what you can do. And I think we think
it's about all we can do.
Well, I think we think like, oh, you know, there's nothing we can do. But I find more and more that the littlest things that we do actually do matter, which sucks. Because we've been told forever that they don't matter.
Total strangers matter so much. Like everything you engage with, especially now and especially going forward with this AI stuff. Like we all just have to be so careful.
Oh, AI
like our good friend,
a nightmare.
Yes, our good friend yesterday was saying like, oh, I'm gonna get really into documentaries, and like my first thought was like, you gotta be careful with that shit, man. Do you know how many documentaries there are out there? Like everyone and their mother is making documentaries, and they're all out there, and they all have like half facts and like weird POVs and agendas that are trying to make like they've gotten documentaries. They've got the tendril in there. Now they're just like they can distort your view on shit, and people are like, well, I watched it in a documentary. You know, it's like, no.
Well, you gotta be like, you gotta understand yourself. Like, you gotta be in your body and understand yourself to be able to engage with things. Because if everything's trying like, and not in like a tinfoil hat kind of way, but in a way where it's like,
in a deeply spiritual way.
Well, yeah. If you are not in your body, something else is. That's how it works. You don't have a choice. There is no like, oh, well, no, I'm fine. No, you're not. So either like wake up and be in your body and decide what you're going to do. It doesn't have to be like, you know, most people's jobs are very small. It's not a big deal.
I always like,
or let something else take care of your body for you, because that's what it happens.
I always just use the phrases active and passive now. It's just like, that's how I feel about it. Like it's exhausting and it can be depressing and et cetera, to attempt to always have like an active mind, like actively be here, even if it isn't physically, but actively like here in each present moment, right? Like it's so hard to do, but you like, now more than ever, you have to do it, because the second you go passive, someone is trying to get you to think something that you probably wouldn't think.
Yeah.
Like you probably wouldn't think otherwise, or enjoy something that you probably wouldn't otherwise.
And that's why creating art intentionally keeps us there, because we're like, you know, I'm doing a thing. Because you can't like creating art passively. Not that that's, I mean, content's a completely different thing, but like, art is a vehicle for that, for presence, because you have to be there to do it. Like you have to be here.
Intention, you know, think about art without a point of view. Think about like the worst shit you've seen, the most nothing. It's like not saying anything, has no intention other than just like fulfilling a quota of something, some metric, again, some number somewhere. And
yeah, like the difference between something small that is in earnest versus something small that is not and like the difference of like what that vibrates at and how you engage with it and how much you
even to hearken to that,
connect to it.
Exactly. But like even to hearken to that Hbomber guy video about James Somerton and everything like that, like you look at those videos that guy made where he just plagiarized like all these articles and everything, and it's like the people ate that up. That was the most unearnest, like uninspired looking stuff I've ever seen in my life. Like there was no zhuzh, there was no like editing, there was no nothing. Like it was just like a single camera angle, this guy talking, like the lighting was kind of okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But and just literally reading other people's articles, basically saying that he wrote them. But and
that
like people loved it. Like people loved it. There was no like intent other than to like just be a YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't see the appeal myself.
It's something I don't know what that is. It's because I don't even like.
It's something I'm gonna be thinking about.
Well, because I even think about people who like steal tweets, and they just like so many of them will steal the same tweet, and I'm like, that would just feel so weird to do, like, because that's not why I do it. Like,
right?
I don't. What's that for?
Right.
I don't know what that's for.
What's that for?
I'm like, because like there's a difference. Because it's not like, what, have you never stolen? It was like not intentionally. Like I would never like, because like it doesn't give you the same once somebody likes something original that you've done at all, stealing something like verbatim, like just stealing it to get the likes or whatever it is like it doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it for you. Once you've snorted the pure love of once you've done the drug of somebody thinking that your original idea was funny, like it sucks to do anything else. You're chasing that dragon for the rest of your life of like what I'm originally doing, which is not a joke. No, yeah, it's dumbest drug we've got. Honestly, you got to do it all night.
Hate that shit.
You have to do it all night. Waste of time.
Waste of money.
Love storing your own original content. Exactly, A-Star. Yeah, like
A-Star,
I want if anything, I'm like, oh, I just want to have that perfect that banger that I make that everybody likes. Yeah, but it's like I made it. That's the thing. That's the ticket. Oh, and it's so good. Like that journey is so much more satisfying than like I need these likes. But it's also, I think it's also something to do with like our like we're poorly socialized and we're like thirsty for love and attention, and there's something wrong. Like there's something wrong with a lot of people in terms of
okay, can we open this can of worms? I'm gonna hit it all. Can we open this can of worms? Is it a pure intention to only like want financial success?
A pure intention?
Yeah. If your only goal is to like, no matter what, it doesn't matter really, make a lot of money, like is that worthy? Like should that be okay? Should we all say like, okay, you could do that?
I think and then it depends too why. I think it depends why, because if somebody grew up in poverty and they watched like their mother and father like suffer through addiction and they were in and out of like halfway homes and things, and like all they want is financial security because they've never been able to experience it. I think that's
I'm not talking about financial security. I'm talking about like,
well, yeah, but to them, they've arrived at
all of the money,
and that is the response to that. I think that's, I think that can be considered a pure intention because they were traumatized into it. But in terms of like them just being like hypnotized into like into thinking
let's talk about like a first world person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another.
No, you're right. I'm not gonna argue against like someone.
Some
being
people are like, some people are like, I need to make money.
Like,
I can't deal with this shit anymore. Yeah, like
I need the money.
Yeah, because they're like, I will do anything not to be that poor again. The pain of that.
Shouldn't they be offered some
well,
sort
and a lot
of
time they do. Like a lot of the time they do
sort of
they are able to do that, but it is a lot of trauma. It's a lot of poverty trauma for them. But in terms of like, I mean, in terms of like
to close down the premise, I'm talking about like a first world artist sort of thing whose intention as an artist, as someone who's like, you know, let's say got a modicum of talent, can draw or something.
Mean somebody who like, all I want is to only do learning this, how to draw to make money.
To be the most successful financially at drawing.
Do we know any artists? Do we know any artists who did that?
I mean, a good example.
I'm just like, who did this?
Kane.
Somebody did.
Bob Kane. He didn't really draw anything, so not a good example.
Okay.
But let's say like the AI artists, right? Who are making the argument that they are real artists by typing the prompts into the AI and generating these images based on everyone else's images that they've already made.
I also think that's a separate thing.
But it is and it isn't, because like
I don't think they're doing it for money. I think they're doing it because they don't feel good enough to do art. They think that there's a secret thing.
So many posts that are basically saying like, "R.I.P.
Andy Warhol."
Bozo.
Did Andy Warhol just do it to make money? Andy Warhol?
Well, Andy Warhol realized that he could and took advantage of it.
Okay.
In from what I know, I mean, the doctor might be more well versed in the Warhol lore.
Yeah, I didn't know.
He went to art school, but yeah, he was
Hello. Hi, Nate.
His whole thing was like, haha, I'm like towing the line between like commercial art and like ba ba ba, and then like sold a picture of a Campbell soup can for $1 million or whatever the hell. Like,
oh yeah, okay.
You know, it's like that kind of opened the can of worms that we find ourselves at the end of today of like what is commercial art and what is real art and like I'm just finding myself having a lower and lower tolerance for people telling me like commercial art is art and like is valid as an art form. Like I have to like call that content. Like if you're trying to make a thing, and even I hate to even go this far, but like you're spending like $200 million to like make a movie, make one thing. Like a big part of your consideration, whether you like it or not, is how do we make sure we get that $200 million back? Like, how the fuck do we make sure
and I don't think that it all falls under the same umbrella either, because I think there's a difference between believing that you deserve to eat and be an artist, which I agree with, and then making this like labyrinthine like business model pyramid scheme of the way to make art that makes it so that in essence you have to sacrifice parts of the art to it in order to do the thing that you set out to do. So like there is this idea that like, and I believe this, but like money is like a neutral tool. It depends on what you do with it. So like there's artists who are very successful. They're very financially successful, and they do think about making money when they make art. And that's just part of it. That's just a part of what they're doing. Like they know that if I want to make art, which is what I want to do, I have to make money at it. So there's these things I do. I get creative with the way that I'm making my art so that people will buy it, so that I can eat, so that I can pay my bills. And I'm doing it so that I can make art. And in that way, it's like, well, yeah, that's like the purest thing, right? Like your hunger to make art and survive and make this your life is more important to you than what did that mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not looking for a number. And like a lot of artists will say that, it's like, I'm not looking for a number. I'm just trying to pay my bills. Like, I'm just trying to make my life prosperous based on what this is. And sometimes that means doing things that make me money, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not being creative or using art to do that. I have to think about the money because I need money to live. Whereas then what you're saying, which is the thing that can ruin art, which is like you create this weird thing where like with movies, but you find out like, oh yeah, like the reason they don't make so many movies is because they don't know if they'll get the money, and then you're like they're worried about the money, and that's the only way that they make movies, and you're like, well, why don't they just make a movie?
It starts to limit the amount of creativity that is possible, and that's where I keep finding myself, and that's what appears. It's easy to use movies as the touchstone topic.
Well, yeah, because they're like the guy who does
everything.
That.
It's all art, it's a micro. What is happening there is a microcosm of what is happening to all art. And like, if nobody thinks like, if everyone is scared or kind of pushes off the idea of making stuff and creating art or doodling or doing fucking whatever you want that is a creative idea, because like, oh, I couldn't make money off of that, so why do it?
Oh,
or like, no one's ever gonna give me enough money to make the thing I'm thinking of, so why?
Yeah, like only engaging based on how much money you can make out of something isn't really the best way to engage with anything, honestly.
No, well, it's just like I find there's just not that many people around, I guess, here or that I see elevated that are just doing it with like no intent, right? Like no ulterior intent.
Well,
just
you have to have intention in anything you want to do if you want it to work.
Yes and no.
Or do you mean the intention for specifically for monetary gain?
The intention for incentive, personal incentive in any way, financial, clout, social clout, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like with me, with the cartoon we're working on, like I don't care. Like, I am compelled to make this thing. No one will ever pay to see any episode of it. It will not be like monetized whatsoever. And it's just out, like, it's out there. Who cares? Like, I'm gonna tell people it's out there, and they can find it if they want.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's no intention of anything. Like, maybe people will enjoy it. That would be cool. But like, I want to make this thing because I want to see this thing, and like, I don't give a shit. Like, if you're gonna give me money to make it, if no one's gonna watch it, it doesn't matter. Like, I need to do it, and it's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Anyways, you know what I mean? Like, it's simply out as a byproduct of like, well, I made it. Why not? Why not make it so people can see it? And that is kind of sort of how I think about all the stuff I make. I mean, obviously, like, when I release an album or something, I consider it deeply, and I make sure the track list is good, and I make sure there's no bad songs, and I follow my gut a lot. I just listen to it, and I'll be like, that doesn't sound right, and I'll just take a track off. Most of my albums start with like 20 songs, and I just whittle it down. But like, it's for the record, it's like, I made this, like, I did this. That's it.
I think like, it's hard. I think it's hard to know what is in their mind when they do it. Because some people like make stuff and they're really hyped on it. Like, they just love everything that they make, and they promote it, and they're like, they want a publisher to pick it up. They want, like, that's like, they believe, and I think that's I think that's a really good trait to have, is to like really believe in your shit so much that you're like, yeah, listen to this. Here's my flyer. Here's my thing. We're having a show. Like, that's something that, like, I don't think it's inherently honorable to not do that. Like, I don't think the opposite of that is any better. It just depends on how you actually feel. Because there's a difference between like, I know this is trash, but I'm going to sell it to you like it's not because I'm trying to make money.
Right.
Versus, you might think this is trash, but I think it's the best thing in the world, and I'm going to sell it to you because I think it's the best thing in the world because I made it. Which is like, that person might be like wrong, but like, who gives a shit? They really love what they're doing. So like, they're going to try and get you to love it too because they're really fucking hyped about it. So it's hard to know.
Way around that, and that brings me to that idea I had for the like artist church, where basically the idea is you're never paying for the art. Like, you're never paying for the product. You're giving money to the artist based on how you reacted to it. Like, the art is all there. You can engage with it.
Yeah, you're donating, and if you like
a piece of it or something, directly to the person that made it, like, hey, thanks. Or the artist church as a whole, like, thanks for letting me have this. Thanks for making this like exist. Not like this piece of art here is worth $200,000. So comparatively, these other pieces of art over there are probably worth this. You know, putting it into this ecosystem of like art has all of these prices and things like that. It's like no, well, it's about the human being that sat there with intent, with earnesty, to like offer this thing to you that they thought you might enjoy.
Yeah,
you know.
That's and, well, like, and that comes in with the ephemerality of art, which is like all art is priceless. Like to put a price, right. you can put a price on it, and we end up having to in this way. But yeah, like there's a lot of things in the world that are like priceless. Like we keep trying to buy them. That's why we're confused when like there's like a business model against it, and like we're confused why like, and not in a way where it's like everything should be free.
Right. People are like, why are video games $69.99 now?
Well, and it's like yeah, dude, because it's like a masterpiece. Like, hours. What do you do? like what? How do you? And it's awkward because it's like, okay, well, I think something so precious that I think is so precious. Like, I would pay whatever you want for it, right? Like, I'll pay you whatever I want. I don't care. I need the thing. Versus like that meant the mentality of like, oh, we have to keep it. You know, we have. And it's like this glamour that gets placed over this piece of art that's like, oh, this will make it. I can't go watch
the Holdovers because it's only playing in New York.
But
and
I
it's
do
$45.
Think, well, yeah,
and I think, in my pocket.
And I do think that like there's an element of like this that is even giving your energy to this thing that like then don't engage with art that way. Then really, because then that's another thing. You got to be conscious about how you're engaging with it. You got to be conscious about how you're doing it, because like to continue to perpetuate like this, like near, like to keep having to have this filter that everything has to go through and keep putting up these walls that, I have to make sure, like in terms of like, I have to make sure that like and being like, this is good and this is bad and this is good and this is bad and this is good and this is bad and this is good and this is bad, and having to do that all the time and doing it only is like taking so much of your energy away. It takes so much effort to be like, this is good but this is bad, as opposed to just like, what is this thing? Is this part of what I'm trying to do? No, cool, this is not for me. Is this for me? No, that's not for me. Is this for me? That's not for me. This is for me. Like, and like we get so caught up in like what's good and what's bad. And like I just wrote a thing about how like a curator and a critic aren't telling you what is good and bad. A curator and a critic are telling you what a thing is, and they're putting it up against other things and seeing where it fits. And they've experienced so many pieces of art and creation and things they've been able to cultivate so much experience in whatever they're doing, that it's not that they're telling you what is good and what is bad, because they can't tell you that. Nobody can tell you that. You have to decide that, and even then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then what they're telling you is what a thing is, which they have the vocabulary for because they've been able to consume and be in all of these spaces. So it's like at that point it becomes like it's you have to create an existence outside of what the system wants you to be doing, how the system wants you to be engaging with this. But we keep having these conversations about like what something is worth. It's like, I don't fucking care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, that's not why I engage with it. Like, but to get to that point, you have to be going in all the time and being like, what is this? You have to be like wanting to plumb the depths. And that's the other thing that we come up with, where it's like, we're just being fed this stuff all the time. We're just being fed stuff all the time. Like never unceasing information. And it's like, you can't, exactly. You have to decide, like, I'm actually gonna like be very conscientious about what I consume in terms of what I want my experience to be. And it's difficult. And it's like, and not in a way where it's like, oh, I'm a slave to my experience, but like in a way where it's like, if you want to have the experience you want to have, then you have to be conscious for it. And you have to do the work to do it. Like, and I think that's the thing, like, there's a lot of like, gamers are the most annoying people on earth, because it's like, this didn't give me exactly what I wanted. And it was like, okay, well, there's a million other games that exist, so I don't know why you're still bitching about this one that you hate. Dude, stop playing it.
please stop
playing it. You should stop. You should uninstall, bro. Go find another game.
Uninstall it.
But they're I
swear to you, you're gonna find a game that you like.
Unconscious, consuming whatever the feed is telling them to consume, and then being upset
and being mad. Yeah, exactly.
You did it because the fucking esports man told you to. Why don't you stop listening to the esports man?
It's also like, we're online. You're online. If someone says something about a game, you could just go look at somebody playing the game right now on twitch.tv.
Yeah.
Someone's like, oh, I really like this game. You go to twitch.tv, you type in the name of the game, and somebody is playing it. And you can look at it and see if you would like that game. And I know for a fact everybody on this earth can watch somebody playing a video game for 5 minutes and know whether or not they would have fun playing that game themselves.
It's about discernment. Cultivating discernment. But ultimately,
I did want to pop in and say that is why I think you're a very important voice, why you'd be an important voice in the video essay spaces, because you actually have been in a lot of those spaces. You've been in acting spaces, you've been in film spaces, you've been in music spaces, you've been in all of these sort of cultures and observing and you're very, attuned to all of it.
I'm a curator.
And all the language and stuff. And you are, and that, that is a very good, interesting point of view for an essay on that. Like what a curator or critic actually is.
That's funny that you say that because I started it. Wait, I want to read Dr. Yesterday's and Misha's messages. The arts industry is inherently exploitative, which makes being an artist for a living necessitate you being money conscious and having to advocate for your fair pay. In a capitalistic society, every exchange is completed through the lens of money. If something is performed without the exchange of goods or services for barter, then they are done for free. And free means doesn't cost money, if that makes sense. And then Misha says, it's so hard to put a price on anything I make. I feel I always center the price around the person purchasing it, but I don't eat off my art. If I'm doing it to eat, I don't know. I feel like it's a mutual transaction between you and someone willing to pay the price, I guess. Someone only do transactions once they vet the people they work for. Yeah.
It just sickens me. Ultimately, it just sickens me that we're here and we all have to operate under this fucking bullshit. And I get it. It's like our hands are tied. Our hands are behind our backs as artists, like at all times. And we're assuming the position at all times. We're on the floor. And it's fine. But like, I personally, in the rest of my, like, I can never like accept it. I can never be like, yeah, that's okay. Like, it sucks ass. Anything someone like makes and puts their time and heart into should never have to be considered for some sort of transaction in some sort of transactory way. I mean,
I think that's a choice too, because you can make people. There's tons of people who make art and never intend to sell it too. There's a lot of
that's true.
There's a lot of middle ground when it comes to the way that you engage with art, and I think that's like that's been the chip on everyone's shoulder for every people's shoulder for a long time. It's a very like common story of like, I'm an artist and I don't get my due.
Yeah,
my
what
due
is your
course.
due?
Like, I don't get what I deserve.
Be like the fulfillment and the like.
Well, you kind of have to change your perspective. You have to change your perspective on what you like. That's a lot of being able to deal with the system is changing your perspective on how you interface with it and being conscious about how you do that. And I think like, not letting it take all of your energy away because it is what it is. It is what it is. So you can't.
It's interesting to me to talk about, like, outside of, philosophical discussion, which I love, and like just talking about the theory and ideology of it. Like, I don't let it affect. I do me. Yeah. My practice, my creative art practice is like, I'm just trying to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do it as often as I can with all my friends. Like,
a lot of people are artists. A lot of people are artists. Mm-hmm. We're creators.
And they wouldn't even consider themselves artists, but they are,
Yeah.
And there is an art to those TikTok videos and things. I'll never try and deny that. So I've seen some insane edits on that stuff where I'm like, what? And like I've edited video for like almost 20 fucking years now, you know. And I'm like looking at this stuff and I'm like, wow, what?
How did they do that? How did they do that? What is that?
How do they do that? And like I also think one of our responsibilities as artists is to stay attuned, even if we hate it, even if we hate all this stuff we see. We gotta see it. You're gonna get some inspiration, and you have to know how to speak to these people. I mean, we're gonna have to know how to talk to these kids as adults, or they're not gonna listen to us. Like how we don't listen to the boomer idiots who say dumb shit. Like it's our responsibility to not let our minds turn into goo.
Yeah, you got to keep sharp. You can turn off the feed.
Yeah, be meditative. Nobody is telling anybody not to meditate. Nobody is telling anybody not to play the Goo racing game sometimes. But like more often than not, your mind has to be active and you have to be taking stuff in, fulfilling your artistic stuff.
I think that goes to
looking at paintings
with what you said about being numb and like having to feel feelings. And I think that's a lot of what we're dealing with now in the world is like, there's a lot of feelings that you have to feel as an artist in order to make your art. And I think that's why I was like, I'm a sensitive artist. I have to feel my feelings, but there's a lot of feelings that you have to feel to be conscious in your body. And there's feelings that they are painful to feel. That's part of it. Like
extremely, yeah.
Like feeling shame is really hard to do, but the more you do it, the better you get at it in terms of like you recognize that it's shame, you know how to care for yourself when you're feeling shame, and then you can move through whatever it is for the reason that you were feeling whatever it was. And like then you can
if you're feeling shame, it's usually for a true reason. You know, like your body, your mind isn't gonna put you through that feeling just for no reason. And that goes back to the other thing, like never look away from these bad feelings. You have to look at these things. Like you have to cry and you have to hurt and you have to feel that stuff in order to recover, in order to move on from it. Truly. You know, it's hard, you know, even still in this day and age, 2023, it's still, I think, hard for like men, people who identify as men to get to that place of being okay with how fucking wrong and fucked up they are by virtue of like the culture and what it wants to do, you know,
and
not to put too fine a point on it, and girl depression. But it's, you got to feel that, and you have to know that it's true. The more you deny it, the worse of a person you're going to be, because you're not going to accept that you were wrong. You know, that's what shame is doing the wrong thing and then understanding it was wrong. And that's fine. That can be okay. Like,
well, and there's also a lot of shame that like you're just heaping onto yourself. That is like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you in this like labyrinth of shame that you're just like running around in? That you built. That's
but there is a lot of very valid shame that I think is pushed into.
Well, and also part of that is like you can feel you just have to feel it so that you can go through and you don't have to hold it, because if you don't feel it,
so you can process it,
hold it,
flow through you like water. You say hello. You see the void. You say hello. It flows through you like water, and you go on throughout your day. Hello, there you are. You're always there.
And make art.
And make stuff, and talk to your friends. Make stuff with your friends.
That's the best. There is hope. There is hope.
There is hope
for everything.
It
is not so bleak.
Like it is extreme. It is not a grandiose thing.
Oh, it's small.
That's what I think. You know, moving forward into 2024 and all of these sorts of things, it's about, you know, small communities of like-minded individuals who are trying desperately to figure out how to remain level as it keeps going insane and insaner. It's rough out there. I'm not even going to talk about politics at all whatsoever.
We don't have to talk about any politics.
Oh yeah, no, I am running for president in 2028, most likely.
Congratulations.
That's as political as I'll get. But congratulations. It's just I just don't see the next years here going good. Like we gotta be on our toes. We gotta be active and we gotta be productive.
Yeah. Consciously consuming.
Consciously consuming, consciously creating,
yes.
Consciously conversating.
Consciously in our bodies.
Consistently,
consciously conscious. Which is difficult, but we must.
It is extremely difficult. I can sit here and tell you for sure, for certain, it is the hardest thing to do. But I think it's going to be real necessary pretty soon.
That's what we're doing. And that's what we're doing, consuming and making art consciously in our bodies. Good.
Ding. Do you have a little sound effect?
I wish. I don't have any sounds for this one. One day.
Oh.
One day. Do you have any closing remarks?
I really have said a lot of what I wanted to say. I mean, I treated this as sort of like a record for myself, even of where I am as an artist and where we are as friends and things like that. And I really do think I touched on where I'm at conceptually.
That's
in
good.
Here. A lot of the things I'm racking around as an artist.
That's good.
It feels really good to talk about it.
That's why I wanted to have you on.
Yeah,
the one thing I wanted to say that I kept forgetting to say, you gotta just keep making things. You just have to. You just don't stop. Please.
Yeah.
Don't. Even if you are so fucking scared, I don't care. You have to. If you are so scared, it's actually better if you start doing it when you're scared.
It's really better if you do it when you're scared.
You just have to keep doing it. And even if it's bad or if it's good or it doesn't matter, you just have to, please, for the love of God, you have to keep making stuff. That's for everyone. That was for me. That was every day I'm like, oh God, I have to keep making stuff.
No, it's on us.
I get up and you have to keep going. And you have to keep doing it.
For 1 second had the idle thought, I think I might be an artist. I think I might
have to make stuff.
Get fulfillment from creating. You just have to do it.
You have to.
All the time. People ask me what my secret is. My secret is I've been doing stuff like this since I was 13 years old and I've never stopped. That's it.
You just don't stop. There's no other part. There's just, you don't stop. You can take a breath. You can take a breath. Like, obviously, you make something, especially after you, like, make something and you show it to everyone, and you're like, oh, okay.
Take a deep breath.
Cool.
It is like having a child.
But then you'll be like, then your brain will be like, what if we did this? And then you're like, okay, well, all right, cool.
I gotta do that.
You gotta do the thing. Never stop. Never stop. Never stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, this was it. This was the spark. This was the spark with me, your host, C2, and my guest, Medley from the internet. Medley from online. Minecraft, be okay with your art not being good the first time. Never stop. It might never get good either, but never stop. Never fucking stop. Literally, don't stop.
Just don't. Like, there's no point in stopping. Okay, here's the thing. Here's one last little nugget I'll leave. There is a nihilism inherent in being online. Anyone who is online too much is, like, inherently kind of nihilistic. Yes, none of it matters. It doesn't matter, so just do the thing. It doesn't fucking matter. Just draw the shitty thing.
Do it.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Do it.
You're probably going to be the only one that sees it.
Make it.
And it's just do it. You'll love it.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on the Spark.
Love you all. Love you, chat.
Please follow us.
Come to Dumb Church.
Follow the Trident Network on everything. We have a YouTube. These episodes are up on the YouTube. Please subscribe to us. If you love to support artists, that's what the Trident Network does. We pick up shows, and we air them. Follow us on the socials. Will this do socials? Let me see. Socials. No. YouTube. It's not doing anything that I wanted to do. It's fine. It's fine. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. This is every third Sunday. So we'll be back. The next show for this is the the 21st of January. So we'll be back on here the 21st of January. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Medley, for being on with me.
Thank you for having me.
I will see everyone on the internet very soon. Goodbye.